So this week, Dr. Scott Atlas, who has been a frequent guest on this program, took on the role of special advisor to the president. But his credentials and his opinions on how to handle the coronavirus have now become the target of attack. Watch this.
Well, now Dr. Scott Atlas's credentials, they may sing, but his anti-science blathering blows. Here he is on Fox talking about why football needs to return.
I think we have to get a grip here, look at the science, understand who we're talking about here. There's not a lot of obese, diabetic 78-year-olds playing football.
So let's actually look at the science, because experts who are beholden to science and not obsequious satellites of the president will tell you that data on young people is lacking. Here's another comment from the president's new coronavirus task force doctor.
This is a temporary issue. Pandemics don't last for years and years. I'm sorry, but that just never happened.
I'm sorry, but what the hell is he talking about?
This is a level of hysteria. Like, this is something, I feel like I'm living in a Kafka novel here.
Okay, first off, Dr. Atlas clearly wouldn't know science if it kicked him in the Atlas.
So you get the idea. Dr. Scott Atlas joins me now, special advisor to the president and Stanford University's Hoover Institution senior fellow. Dr. Atlas, you know, there's a lot of talk about people who ignore science and people who respect science. And I think, you know, whenever you go to the doctor about something serious, you want to get several opinions. But apparently your opinion is not welcome in some places. What is your reaction to that?
Well, first, thanks for having me, Martha.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a great honor to be asked by the president to work with him and his team on the most important crisis, really, that the country's faced in probably 100 years, not counting a world war. So, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with my CV. I've been at the highest levels of academic medicine for 25 years. And combining my medical science knowledge and expertise and critical thinking with my years in health policy, I think I'm hoping to add something to what is really a great team here. I mean, I think I feel the most comfortable with it here because people here are very data-driven. It's a very focused strategy. It's a very thoughtful, tailored strategy on the key things that the policy should be focused on, which is protecting the high-risk people, meaning mainly the elderly, but also others with comorbidities, and making sure the hospitals aren't overcrowded, and, of course, safely reopening society, including schools. I mean, we have to realize who's at risk, which we do. This administration understands, for example, in the college football analogy, I mean, 99.8% of deaths are in people over 24. And, you know, it's actually a very safe environment. It's sometimes, and for many, a safer, more regulated environment inside a college sports team.
Let me ask you about one of the issues on that. I'm not saying it correctly. Myocarditis, excuse me, is a heart condition that some are concerned about with these players as a possibility. Is that a concern to you?
Well, everything's a concern because this is a serious disease and no one wants to minimize what's happening here. But the reality is that you have to look at the data and you look at it with a critical eye. I mean, young people are not at risk for a serious disease from this. If you look at New York City, of the 19,000, roughly 700 deaths in New York City, people under 18, that's 13 of them. And there's only one child, which is very tragic, of course. I'm a father myself, but there's only one child that was otherwise healthy out of all of those deaths. It's really a very low risk here. Of course, there's things we're still learning. We don't know everything about any single disease. I know the data on the echocardiography studies on heart patients. I mean, this is all very important. We're still learning stuff, but we don't deny what we know. There's an overwhelming body of science here, and if I had a half hour, I would articulate a little bit more of it. But basically, it's a little bit frustrating to hear media talk about, you know, we want to go according to the data, and then they act and say things completely contrary to the data. We have to use the data, and this administration and everyone I've met here on the task force team and everyone else is very focused on the data. It's a science-driven policy. It's not a non-thinking policy that some others espouse.
Well, it seems to me that you want to listen to a lot of different experts across the board, and that having differences of opinion is something that we should welcome. It gives us some perspective on these issues, and so that's why we have you come in and talk to us. We have many other doctors who've come here as well, and we thank you for your opinion, and it's good to have you here. Thank you very much, Dr. Atlas.
Thank you, Martha.